Welcome to the show on the Gruely True Sports Network. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster. Today, we're going to look at the Florida Gators as they travel to Lexington, Kentucky's Rupp Arena to battle the Kentucky Wildcats, a game between the 10-2 Wildcats and the undefeated 13-0 Florida Gators. The Kentucky Wildcats are favored by 1.5 points right now. If you want to bet this game, our top-rated sports book for betting on college basketball is at BetMGM. You can click on the link in the description down below in this video if you're watching on YouTube. All right, guys, this is a classic matchup between two of the best teams in the country, two of the best teams in the SEC. The SEC so far has shown to be the best conference in college basketball. And one of the last few unbeaten teams are the Florida Gators. They're 13-0. They have little to complain about 2 months into the season. The Gators have handled every challenge thrown at them and head into SEC play with a lot of confidence. Although they may not have played a comparable competitive schedule to some of the other teams in the SEC, they have won all but one of those games by double digits. They've taken care of business. A lot of attention is rightfully cast upon Walter Clayton Jr., who averages 17 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists per game, a former Iona guard who has become a major playmaker these last 2 years with the Gators. Florida is also seeing great production from Elijah Martin, 15 points, 6 rebounds a game, the junior guard who made the Final Four with the Florida Atlantic a couple of years ago, is making a difference now in the SEC. Among a sea of talented bigs is Alex Condon, 11 points, 8 rebounds, a sophomore forward from Australia who's been the best rebounder so far this year for the Gators. Florida's unbeaten start has them number 6 in the AP Top 25, 6th in KenPom, and 4th in the most recent net rankings. You won't find a better rebounding team than Florida, with the Gators really using their athleticism and strength on the boards in a myriad of big wins. Again, the Gators have seen few standout opponents, though, and they will face a much stiffer challenge in the coming months against SEC competition. Now, for the Kentucky Wildcats, everything is new. They're 10-2, but Mark Pope's team isn't standing down against anybody. He returned to Lexington this offseason, threw together a team with veteran talent and varying levels of experience, and has a successful start to show for it. The Wildcats boast impressive wins over Duke and Gonzaga. Duke was a neutral site game. Gonzaga was in Seattle, Washington, and that was a big come from behind victory in the second half for the Wildcats. Now, everybody's still wondering what the hell happened against Ohio State. I'm still wondering what the hell happened against Ohio State. But things like that will happen, and the Buckeyes are a solid but inconsistent basketball team. Now, Kentucky has 6 players averaging double figures. There's no shortage of talent on this team. Highlighted by Oklahoma transfer Otega Owe, 15.9, 3.6 rebounds. He's really emerged as a playmaker this season. Another name that will torch opposing defenses, Cody Bria, 12 points, 4 rebounds per game. The sharpshooter transfer is from Dayton. He has made over 49% of his three-pointers this season, although he missed time earlier with injury. Lamont Butler, averaging 13 points, 4 assists, is a much-watched athlete. He makes plays on both sides of the ball and has deep postseason experience with San Diego State. Kentucky enters the new year at number 10 in the AP Top 25. Though they sit just 21st in KenPom and 18th in net, the offense is very good, especially when fully healthy and hitting shots. Though Bria and Butler in particular have been a lethal combination in that regard, this new look rotation is still figuring things out defensively, though they really showed up at times, including that win over Duke nearly 2 months ago. Now, I think this lack of cohesiveness showed itself against Ohio State. Now, the question is, do they learn from the Ohio State game and come back stronger? Beating teams like Brown by 30 points, 40 points doesn't really show us anything. The big question in this game, to me, we talked about Florida's schedule, is how Florida handles their first big challenge of the season. Their lone road test came 2 months ago at the start of the season against a much weaker Florida State Seminole team. It's clear that Kentucky means business this year. The Gators' defense has played well for the most part. It really limited long-range opportunities, but they have not played a team that can shoot the three ball like the Kentucky Wildcats. The Wildcats have been far from perfect, but the talent they have is definitely good enough to have a statement win at home against the Florida Gators. I think Clayton might be the best player on the court, but you could argue that Kentucky has the best team effort and the deeper team. They'll need their bigs winning the most important battles against Condon and the other Gators. Florida is a consistent shooting team, but they need a great shooting effort early and often on the road to win this game. Right now, Kentucky's favored by a point and a half. I will easily give that point and a half, even though I think it's going to be a close game. There's no doubt in my mind Kentucky wins this game. With that said, I also did a show where I said there was no doubt Kentucky would beat Ohio State. So that's the big thing. If you've been following us, make sure you check out our college football preview predictions for the Final Four coming up. Hit 3 out of 4 this last weekend. So we did good, except for picking Boise State on the cover. But when we get back to basketball, I think Kentucky wins this game 86-82. I think they roll on. I think Florida sustains their first loss. The Gators are a good team, but the level of competition, we heard that in college football, is definitely on Kentucky's side. You can follow me on Twitter at Grueling Truth, or X, I'm sorry, at Grueling Truth. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification on YouTube. Make sure you check out BetMGM. Click on the link in the description down below if you're watching on YouTube. Check out thegruelingtruth.com. But guys, for now, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.